Actors, we've all got issues, so let's talk about them. I'm Juan Ayala, and welcome to Actors with Issues. Each week, we bring you interviews with actors from across TV, film, and Broadway, taking many deep dives into their careers and getting into the successes, the struggles, and of course, the issues that they face as actors. That's enough about us. Let's dive into the episode. Today's guest is a rising star you know from Once Upon a Time, Disney's Bunk'd, and as Hugo in the Apple TV Plus series Acapulco. Please welcome to the stage Raphael Alejandro. Raphael, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Oh no, thank you, Juan. It's great.
So before we dive in with our interviews, we always start with a rapid fire game called Getting to Know You. So I know you're young, but you work long days on set. So coffee or tea?
A T.
TV or film?
Film.
Drama or comedy?
Comedy.
Hero or villain?
Hero.
Stage acting or screen acting?
Screen acting.
What movie never fails to make you laugh?
Tropic Thunder.
Good choice. And what movie never fails to make you cry?
The Holiday or you know one, it's strange, but Pixar's Up. Man, that the first 10 minutes in Pixar.
Oh yeah. My last interview said the same thing.
It really makes you cry every single time.
What is the last show that you binge watched?
The Lincoln Lawyer.
Oh, good show.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with any actor, dead or alive, who would it be?
Man, that's tough. Bill Murray.
It is October, so we have to ask, what is your favorite scary movie?
Scary movie. Let's just say Jaws. Actually, I have a crazy story with that. One Halloween, I thought that I had never really watched a scary movie before that point, but I was like, okay, let's just get into the spirit, right? So I decided by myself to watch Jaws. I didn't even get halfway through the movie. I was terrified. I wouldn't even go into swimming pools. I was like, there's a shark in there. So yeah, definitely, I guess I can say Jaws.
Yeah. And lastly, describe your most memorable audition in 3 words. And memorable can be good or bad, so it's up to you.
Okay. 3 words. Let's say total comedic failure. It was I did an audition for How to Be a Latin Lover. And I ended up getting the part, but when I did the audition, I had to say I had to prepare a joke to say. Mm-hmm. So I told a joke where it's this joke where a hot air balloon is going up in the air, and the hot air balloon has an American, an Asian, and a Mexican. So the higher balloon is going down, and so they have to remove weight. And so the Asian goes and he grabs rice and he goes, okay, I don't need this. I have tons of this in my country. So he chucks it off board. And then the Mexican grabs a bag of beans and he goes and he chucks it off board and he goes, well, I have too many of those in my country. And then the American thinks. He grabs the Mexican and he throws him out of the hot air balloon and he goes, well, I have too many of those in my country. Now,
man.
People that know How to Be a Latin Lover was starring Eugenio Derbez, a Mexican famous icon. So it was funny. I ended up getting the role, but yeah, that's definitely total comedic failure.
And very memorable.
Yes, very memorable.
So with most actors growing up, doing the arts throughout school, and then when they're thinking about college, they make that decision, I want to go to get my training. But you started so young and have so much more professional experience compared to many actors who are my age or older. So how did all of this start for you? How did you first get involved in acting?
Well, really how it all started was that I have an eldest sister and an older brother. So I'm the baby of the 3. And she started when she was 5 and he started when he was 4. They both acted ever since then. And so as I was growing up, I always saw them acting on set, having so much fun. And I was like, well, I want to try this too. So as soon as I tried it, I was like, this is spectacular. It's amazing. I want to continue this for the rest of my life. And I've just never looked back since.
And I'm curious, since you've done many comedies, you've done shows on Disney, you've done fantasy shows with Once Upon a Time. Is there any genre you haven't done yet that you want to explore later?
I think I haven't done a horror, so I think that would be pretty fun, to do. Like if I
Mhm.
could just play like I don't know some kind of demon or something, that would be fun. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Acapulco season two is just around the corner, and I have to say, as soon as it came out last year, it's been one of my favorite shows. I grew up in a Spanglish household, so watching a bilingual show is like just totally normal for me. And I'm so happy that when they announced I was getting a second season because it's just such a lovely and like the representation on the show is just so positive and heartwarming and all of that. So how does it feel for you to finally be away from Maximo's house and get to travel to Las Colinas and get off of the one set that you basically were on the whole time for season one?
It was spectacular for me. I just like when we went last season, we were in Puerto Vallarta. So I mean, I
Mm.
was literally exploring Mexico, like Mexico. But this time now we're really getting to explore like the city of Puerto Vallarta. We were going to many different locations, and
Mm.
that was just beautiful. The views were beautiful. Um, and it was just amazing. Like, the we got to go to like the marina and stuff, and a ton of different things. And also, this time around we're going to get a couple more guest stars in our sort of storyline. So definitely the people and definitely the culture of Mexico is really
Mm.
represented through all of our adventures.
And it's funny because I read that you are multilingual. So was it hard for you to pretend to not speak Spanish when you're playing Hugo?
Certainly, not only hard, but it was excruciating to say la cheeseburger. I was just like, I wanted to slap Hugo in the face. Like, but yeah, definitely. I mean, Ugo's just learning, like I mean, to excuse him, he's never learned that sort of thing. And he's kind of learning in this sort of Mexican environment, right? So but yeah, it definitely was a little bit of a head scratcher about how to mispronounce Spanish.
It's almost like asking a singer, like, can you sing off key? Like to be funny, it's like good
Yeah,
luck because it's in their bones. They can't do that.
they can't not sing well.
Right. And with Acapulco, what would you say is like the biggest lesson that you've learned while working on the show?
Definitely one of the biggest lessons, I think, is just the lesson of like family, like
Mm.
family and friends, and how they can make you feel amazing and how you should count on them. Because really, honestly, just like offset, like the Acapulco cast is such a tightly knit cast, and they're just
Mm.
amazing and spectacular, and it really feels like one big family. So I really think that prevails through the show, and you can just see that throughout the show's dynamic. And I think that's like one of the most important lessons, about family, about kindness, about loving everybody, and about
Mm.
doing stuff even if it's not like the right thing to do, like if it's going to make somebody happy, you should always do it.
It's definitely been I mean you hear all the time that cast members will say like, "Oh, we're like a family," but uh I definitely can you can tell when you're watching the show that it is such a tight-knit group of people, and especially with season 1, everyone being sort of like quarantined together on the set basically. And all of that. And I've spoken with some of your cast members, Fernando Carza and Rafael Severian, and they've said the exact same thing. Just like you guys are such a tight knit group. And I know that because you're in a different timeline as everyone, you haven't really gotten to work with them. But is there someone in your cast that you haven't worked with that you hope somehow you get to work with in the future?
um Well, definitely. I mean, I think Memo would be super cool to work with. Like I
Mm.
don't know how that would work. Like, like the past and the present. I don't know how that would work, but I really just want to work with Fernando. He's such an amazing guy.
Mm.
And just to be able to work with Memo as well, like his character, I just love his character because of how loving he is, how kind he is. He's
Mm.
just like he's like sort of naive, but at the same time not, like we all have that kind of side that he's like comedic, sometimes over the top, but that's like good. That's what makes him that's what makes Memo Memo. So that's why I would love to work with him, because I think that like just his dynamic with Hugo would be just just so funny.
You guys are just wreak havoc, just
Yeah.
troublemakers.
Yes.
And with season 2, what are you most looking forward to for audiences to see?
Definitely, I think what I'm looking forward to audience to see is like definitely those lessons of family and everything. But also, there's going to be a ton of new adventures. There's going to be some plot twists. There's going to be a lot of moments that are going to make you feel heartbroken, but a lot of moments that are going to make you feel so heartwarming. Like so
Mm.
many heartwarmed moments. So I definitely like. I look forward to audiences seeing this huge roller coaster that is the Acapulco Season Two, and how beautifully like it's kind of like all one big mess, but that's kind of the message, that like everybody's sort of like a family, and everything may look like a mess, but that's the joy, that's the beauty of it.
Family's messy and it's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious that, again, you are young, but so experienced in this business and again, have so much experience under your belt. So what would you say if you were sort of like giving a workshop to young actors who are around your age, but want to be like where you are in terms of your career? What would you say is like the biggest misconception that you've broken down about whether it's acting, something that you thought about acting that you've realized isn't true, or entertainment, or just show business in general?
Definitely, I would definitely tell them that you need to love yourself, to be yourself, and to always let your true self shine throughout everything that you do.
Mm.
No matter what you do, you should always put your 100% into it. And always, if you want to do like acting in this, it always has to come from the bottom of your heart. You always have to go with, wearing your heart on your sleeve, and you always have to do it, out of passion, out of love for the craft, and out of everything. So yeah, definitely that's one of the tips that I would say.
Awesome. And before we go, we always end with another quick game called Now That We Know You. And it's not rapid fire, so the pressure is off.
Right.
So fill in the blank. If I weren't working in the arts, I would be.
uh I think I would be a lawyer, yeah, or a writer. Or obviously, if I weren't, I mean, because technically, if I were to be a producer in this world, I would technically be working in the arts. So I
Yeah.
guess a lawyer or like a writer would be what I would choose if I wasn't working in that. But if you're talking about like if I wasn't acting, then maybe I would be producing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what role have you had the most fun playing?
Wow, that is that's tough. I mean, all of them have such great things. I mean, I feel like I feel like Hugo has been one of the greatest like roles in my opinion, just because honestly being able to work with his character through How to Be a Latin Lover, and also being able to work with his character now in Acapulco, I think I've just been able to see so much growth since back then I was playing him at 8 years old, and now I'm playing him at like 14, 15. So,
Mm.
it's definitely like I've just seen so much growth through his character and growth through me, like if I'm going through him, I kind of I see myself through Hugo. A lot of him is me. So definitely I grow with him, and that's been one of the most fun experiences of my life.
And what would you say is the best advice that you've ever gotten?
Um Definitely just like I said to that I would say to the other young actors, just to be yourself, to always like don't care what other people think, just be you,
Mm.
like just yeah.
And similarly, what is the worst advice you've ever gotten? I know we try and forget the bad advice,
uh
but sometimes it sticks with us.
I don't know. I mean, uh wow, that's stuff. I don't know what bad advice. I mean, I guess overall, yeah, throughout my life, I've just kind of been trying to like, you know, think about the like, the more good advice. But I guess not exactly an advice, but something that like people don't really tell you about the business is that a lot of the time you kind of have to jump through like projects, like you do a project for 2 months, and
Mm.
then you do another project for 2 months, and you kind of hang out with that group for so long that you just feel like a tight bond, and then you kind of have to move on, and it kind of like
Mm.
your heart is a little bit broken, like you're kind of scarred a little bit, and it's kind of like in dating that you don't want to go into another relationship thinking about your breakup, and then you don't want to like not pour your heart into this next one, you don't want to like reserve yourself, but you also don't want to get your heart broken. So like that's the same thing. You don't want to reserve yourself. You don't want to not have fun with the new group, you know?
Mhm.
And definitely you don't want to, just like you don't want to like just not have fun with these people, but at the same time they don't tell you that like, you just have to move on. You have to live with it, and it's just kind of something that they 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 kind of don't tell you. That's a little bit hard, especially since I've been acting ever since I was 4 years old, so like I've joined casts when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and then suddenly that's it, like all the people I've been hugging, all the people I've been seeing every single day, all the people I've just been talking to, it's just, it's just for 3 years sometimes, like it's
Mhm.
just broken sometimes. So yeah, that's definitely it. And also another thing that I would say is more good advice is definitely to not do it for the fame. That's definitely something that I would say. Don't do acting for the fame. That's definitely a good advice that I've just learned and also received from so many other actors that I've worked with.
Awesome. Well, Rafael, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. If anyone wants to give you a follow on Instagram or social media, where can our fans find you?
My tag is at Raphael Alejandro 22, and that goes same thing for Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. And folks, you all know the drill. You can find us on Instagram at Actors with Issues. Give me a follow at Juan Ayala Official. And if you can find more of our show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts every Monday, and bonus episodes on Thursday. And of course, tune in to Apple TV Plus October 21st for season 2 of Acapulco with new episodes every Friday. I'm Juan Ayala. This is Actors with Issues, and we'll see you next week.